best. There's second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay? It's not like Google and Facebook. It's not like Apple and Amazon. Yeah, we can debate Apple or Amazon. What's better? They both look like tech monopolies to me. They both look pretty good. On the other end, Bitcoin or no, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a crypto asset. This entire idea of like 60% dominance is bullshit, ridiculous, stupid, right? Like, it's stupid. It's not 60% dominant. It's like 96% or 95% dominant, right? The thing, and you compare it as a crypto asset to a like kind of proof of work crypto network, right?
I know that you can feel the pulse, and this crypto's what you want. Look, faster having 6 to 12 months, can you imagine? That's just a sign of our passion to have PulseBitcoin be the attraction to switch to crypto, cause you all know the Pulse got your back from the get-go. One-to-one versions of the coin you need. PulseBitcoin runs that deep. You can feel the pulse. You can feel the pulse. I know that you can feel the pulse. 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 I know that you can feel the pulse. And this crypto's what you want. I know it seems scary, and you've been so wary. And Bitcoin ain't cheap, but let the pulse speak. Gotta thank Gunther for the opportunity to bring you this pulse in your time of need. You can feel the pulse. You can feel the pulse. I know that you can.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I've got JB with me today, one of our long-standing community members. He's actually become a good friend. We met in Telegram, in the PulseBitcoin Telegram, and he's one of those guys always dropping knowledge on traditional markets and kind of talking about some interesting stuff. And he actually stepped up to the plate the other day and actually was one of the hosts for our new series of Twitter Spaces we're doing. How's it going, JB?
Going good, Fat Sammy. Glad to be here.
Good, man. Good. And you got, I didn't know it was you before. You're on Twitter as PulseChristians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to be like anonymous. Didn't really know what to make my name.
Yeah.
Originally, I was actually Hex Christians, and I was dropping some pretty good alpha on that too. And a couple times I got shouted out by Gunther. And I just wanted to kind of be like, a little bit more secretive on Twitter. I didn't want that necessarily to be tied into my Telegram and everything. Yeah. But when I was given the opportunity to do the live stream on Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern, I just thought that was so important that I didn't really care about being anon anymore.
Yeah, I think this kind of, I came into this and wanted to be anonymous, and I think we realized the importance of onboarding and people, they invest in good products and they invest in things where code can't be changed, immutable code, and they invest in kind of founders. Our founder's anonymous, I think, for good reason, because the same way Satoshi is kind of anonymous. I think this product is bigger than individuals, but at the same time, we need people to come out and talk about it because people invest in people. And I think one of the reasons I've stuck around in this ecosystem, as I always say, is because that live chat mainly in the Telegram, and whenever you're doubting yourself, you look to your left and you look to your right, you're surrounded by really intelligent people, smart people that have made money, so it's kind of really reassuring to kind of sometimes put your face out there and just kind of show that we are people from all different walks of life and we're just normal people. There's no we're not all anonymous people ready to pump and dump, we're all here for the long haul.
Let me add this in too. Let me add this in really quick because this is like the only thing that I really want to talk about and like what my agenda is, why I'm on like a stream or like what I'm even doing, is I just want to like onboard people into PulseBitcoin. That's like my goal. And we can talk about why that is, or like why I like PulseBitcoin, why, I'm shielding PulseBitcoin. That's a great topic. It's basically going back into like the certainty of PulseBitcoin. That's like, those are basically the two things that I want to talk about. Either why I'm so certain about it, or how to onboard other people into it. That's what my agenda is on these streams. But that reminds me about, did I show you what U.S. Coast Guard veteran DM'd me?
No, tell us, man. As long as you're allowed to share it.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm sure it's not like secret information or whatever. But I've just like over some months' time just been like, hey, U.S. Coast Guard vet, I'm your biggest fan. I love you and stuff like that. So I just came back recently.
You're fanboying him.
Yeah, exactly. So I came back recently, and I was trying to put together like what is good crypto, like just a list of like what makes good crypto. So I came to him with immutable code, no admin keys, trustless.
Let's slow down there. So just for people that are new to crypto, right? When you say immutable code, what does that mean?
That means like you can go onto Etherscan and you can go to the contract, so that you can hit like the button that has the green check mark, and it shows you all of the code, and the code can't be changed. It's immutable.
Right. What was the next one?
The next one was no admin keys. So once
that basically means the guy that created it can't go in there and change the game once you're already invested, right? You can't change the code, right?
Exactly. And then the last one was like a trustless system. So that's basically like where you don't necessarily need to trust a middleman or some kind of counterparty in order to use the ecosystem. That's like where Bitcoin falls short. That's like that specifically. But what I asked.
So if you want to earn yield on Bitcoin, right, you have to go to a third party, essentially give them your coins, right, and then they'll have some function where they're lending you back interest. It's almost like giving money to a bank, right, in an interest account. But if that bank fails, we've seen it many times in crypto, right? People give away their funds for some yield to a third party, and it can go wrong. It can go wrong.
Really wrong.
So yeah, with this version of Bitcoin on the Ethereum network, you can actually earn yield without giving it to a third party, right?
That's why I'm 100% certain about it.
Yeah.
That's part of the...
Let's just quickly put some basic info up front.
Here's the one thing. This is why I brought it up. Because U.S. Coast Guard vet added one important feature. So immutable code, no admin keys, trust the system. And then he said doxed dev. And I thought he was joking. So he said a having a having a doxed developer, or having a on the other hand an anonymous developer is a massive risk. So he thinks that having the developers and the people who are like the leaders in the community being doxed and being like known quantities is a part of like the security of the ecosystem. And so I was thinking, well, why is that? And the reason is because besides code, the community is the blockchain, is the network, is the value proposition behind the communications network. So the telephone can be great if it's encrypted, right? The telephone system, it's great if it's encrypted. It's great if like someone can't spy on your calls. Like it's great if like this communication network is robust and secure. But does it matter if you don't have anyone to talk to? No.
Right. Yeah.
So you can have the best, tokenomics. You can have the best like technology, but what it comes down to is the network that makes it up and the people behind that network. So that's why I'm not anonymous. That's why I stepped out of the shadows of the PulseChristians, and and I'm happy to be a representative or whatever, give my take on everything.
I appreciate that, man. And just for anyone that's new here, sorry for everyone that already knows what this ecosystem is. We're going to quickly run through what PulseBitcoin is. Now, my second screen got destroyed the other day. So I'm going to have to put it up on this same screen. Bear with me. So you might see a bit of a weird screen when I do this. So, yeah. So, JB, be happy to jump in anytime you like. So HexInfo has created PulseBitcoin. So what is PulseBitcoin? It's essentially a Bitcoin which is kind of made for, the original Bitcoin is quite old, 12 years old or so. This is the Bitcoin which is designed to be better in as many ways as possible. And we believe it is. So it takes all the advantages of the new proof of stake Ethereum network. So it's essentially used to mine traditional Bitcoin through proof of work. And that means you had to have proper kind of hardware stuff, like graphics cards, mining rigs. You'd pay thousands of pounds for those. You'd set them up in the warehouse or just in your home, and you'd essentially be using power, paying an electric bill, and you'd be physically mining that and validating the network through proof of work. The problem with that is, as time passed, it became less and less profitable. So people were doing it at home on their hard drives originally, or their CPUs even. But then you had to have more and more kind of better hardware to compete and more rigs. So eventually it kind of became something that was only profitable for people that had really big setups, putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into this thing and have essentially farms. And then when energy costs started to go up in the West, and we started to go through more and more halvings, you were getting less and less Bitcoin and spending more and more energy costs to achieve it. So what that essentially has done, it's kind of excluded the average person out of being able to mine, especially in the West. So now you're finding it in certain parts of Africa, anywhere where energy is cheap. But then the problem with that is, with all those overheads, the miners are often having to sell their Bitcoin, which they're mining, right? So if they're only making 10% profit, they're usually having to sell that 10% profit. So it's a massive fundamental for Bitcoin. So really, Bitcoin now, it's we keep seeing each halving event. The exits it does just become less and less. So Ethereum, we think, a lot of us believe that Ethereum will do better in the next bull run. So why not have the best part of Bitcoin, the branding, peer-to-peer exchange, and a more efficient form of mining. So this type of Bitcoin, you can essentially mine it without any hardware. Well, you have a computer, right? Even a phone, but we don't recommend that. But you can buy some ASIC token, and then you essentially stake them, right? So you come to the website here. Let me put the banner here so you can see this. There we go. So you can go to this website here at the bottom, and you can buy some ASIC token. You need a MetaMask for that. And then once you've got that MetaMask, you might have some Ethereum in there. So you set up centralized exchange, set up your MetaMask, send some Ethereum over there, maybe some USDC as well. And then essentially you can buy some ASIC token of Uniswap, or the link there at the bottom. And then you can come to the main website here. And then what you can do is you click on this mine button, and that will take you to the DApp, or the app. And this is, there are multiple front ends. You can go to Corky, he's got on the front end. So even if this website goes down, there'll always be ways to access it. There'll always be someone that will make a new front end. So you don't have to worry about that. So let's say you bought $100 worth of ASIC token. Let's say you bought 100 ASIC token. You put 100 into this area here. And currently you're going to get 7.5%. But that's not going to be paid like some tokens in the asset. So you stake it for 30 days. You're not going to get 7.5% ASIC back. You actually get PulseBitcoin back. And we think there's 3 more months until you're able to get that great 7.5% monthly reward in PulseBitcoin until we get to our first halving. So it might sound a bit complicated, but yeah, if it's a bit complicated, you've got more questions, we have got a Telegram you can jump into. Links in the description below. We've also got a Facebook. If you prefer that, you can come in there and talk to people. But I do recommend the Telegram because we've got great people, great admins in there who are in there most of the day. There's always someone in there, and you can just ask your questions directly to someone. But yeah, I think this is the highest yielding asset you can really participate in at the moment. As you can see, we kind of go over why it's better. It's faster. So we're taking advantage of the Ethereum blocks, which are only 12 seconds. We've got supply scarcity, just the same way as original Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. So this first halving, which we're about halfway through now, just over halfway. So right now in this first halving zero, we're actually mining half of all of the Pulse Bitcoin that ever come into existence. That's where that 7.5% is coming, right? Once we get 11.5, is it 11.5? My math is terrible today. 10.5 million, it will be, 10.5 million is mined. You're only going to get half of that, right? So the next halving period may last another 6 months, may last longer, we don't know. But you're only going to get half of that. And then once that extra quarter is mined, you can then get an eighth, which is being mined, and you're going to get a smaller bit. So that's going to push the price up through supply scarcity, and that's why it says supply scarcity. Faster halvings we're already kind of covered there. Inclusive mining we've kind of covered. We covered that of how it's you don't have to have this big overhead and investment to get involved in this. We're DeFi compatible. That basically means that which JB and I talked about. I'm not sure if we did an agreement on stream, but you can send money directly to each other, and that means also you can sell it to each other on a decentralized network rather than having to go to a middleman or a centralized exchange, which we know are very dodgy, and it's more secure. Eco-friendly, obviously, because you're not if you're an environmentalist and you're concerned about the use of electricity. So even if you're not into that yourself, a lot of governments are starting to consider some of that stuff. So we saw, I think, the state of New York banned proof of work mining. So that's something that might happen more and more in the future. But that's Pulse Bitcoin. JB, is anything? Should we go to the charts, or before we go into your onboarding, or where do you want to go from next?
I want to give like a really quick 30-second summary of what Pulse Bitcoin is.
Great. Let me stop sharing the screen.
Here's the summary. What you need to realize right now is that there's a better version of Bitcoin. That's what you have to realize. You have to come to terms with a better version of Bitcoin has been created. So once you make that realization, then you're one of the ones who can get involved in Pulse Bitcoin before everyone else figures that out. What that means is that, you're able to accumulate Pulse Bitcoin at a lot lower cost than a lot of other people will in the future. That's the opportunity. Why is that? Well, here's the reason. The reason is that Bitcoin uses 2009 technology. So it's over a decade old technology. Imagine how much has come out in the last 10 years. Well, Ethereum and everything on Ethereum. There's developing technologies right now in cryptocurrency that could have never even been foretold when Bitcoin came out. That's how old that technology is. So something has come out that uses the most certain tokenomics that we know, which is the Bitcoin halving, to pump the price of an asset. And you have not only the opportunity to get it before the first halving, but also to get the token that can produce the asset that exponentially increases in price. So right now, anyone watching this, I think even like 2 or 3 years from now, has the opportunity to buy Bitcoin in 2009, 2010, 11, 12. And if you do that in that period of time, no longer will you be kicking yourself in the head for, oh, I missed that opportunity. No longer will you be kicking yourself in the head with, oh, I didn't know what was going to happen, so I sold too early, or all of these objections that people use because they didn't make it in cryptocurrency. We all have that opportunity right now because we are in the iPhone of Bitcoin, whereas people in the old Bitcoin are using the iPod of cryptocurrency.
Makes sense, right? It's with everything, things have to change. It's like yes, the first is the best, but with everything, things change. You have to follow the technology, right? I think DeFi is going to be the next big thing in this next bull run. I think there'll be a few memes as such that will pump. So you might have things like AI stuff, may have some more metaverse stuff that might pump. But I think DeFi projects, good quality DeFi projects, where they kind of really, you can't buy them on a centralized exchange, where you have to do that little bit of extra work and take ownership of your tokens. I think that's the sort of stuff that's really going to pump. And obviously, we're excited about the possibility of PulseX. We're on the Ethereum network now. If PulseX ever comes out, that's going to be really exciting for us. But I think one thing we talk about in this ecosystem, we're on the Ethereum network now, which we think is a great network. And we have the possibility of going on to Pulse Chain. If Pulse Chain doesn't happen, which some people say it won't happen, but I think it will, but let's say it doesn't, we're really well positioned to be on this network. If it does, then great. You're going to get a copy of all your tokens on there. I think you're going to find a lot of liquidity in these pairs, especially with Pulse Doge being the premier meme token. There's nothing else really like it if you like meme tokens. And there's rumors about Pulse Litecoin. We don't know if that's coming out, but that sounds interesting. We were all in the Telegram the other day speculating on what that might be. But yeah, it's just kind of taking the old tokens and doing them better. And that's essentially it, really. Shall we? Sorry,
that's not something just to glance over. It's not something to glance over. You have to really understand. Like, imagine there's a better Bitcoin. Like, what does that actually mean? That's like it's actually like an inconceivable concept. Like to think that we already know what happened with Bitcoin. We've already seen what's happened with Doge. And there is a better Doge that was made. There's a better Bitcoin that was made. That's really worth digging into and learning about.
Let's quickly talk about Pulse Doge. If I can find where I've hidden it on my tabs here. Give me a second. And I think it seemed to have closed the window. Give me a second, JB. Let me load up the Pulse Doge website because we've got some interesting stuff on Pulse Doge.
Yeah, that's a great site.
1 second, I've got it here. But this is the trouble with working with single screen. Yeah, 1 second.
People are sleeping on this too, man.
They are, and we were just discussing an agreement, weren't we, before we went live. Right now, on Etherscan, that's not the right one. Anyway, so I can't find the page right now. But
just type it in the search right there on that screen.
Oh, up the top here, right? Yeah. Yeah. Pulse Doge. Right. Yeah, we were just discussing to get a top 100 wallet position in Pulse Doge right now. Look how much it's going to cost you. So look at this beautiful distribution, right?
Yes.
You've literally got the whales aren't that big, right? And there's only 2-point-something million, right, tokens in circulation. Total supply.
I think like 2.3 or 2.6.
2.3, yeah. Don't hold us exactly on that. But look at some of these. So being the top 25 wallet, you only have to have $34,000, right? To be in the top 50 wallet, $17,000. To be a top 100 wallet, $8,200. Look at that. That's healthy distribution. And just think of the potential of this thing when it comes out on Pulse Chain. Or even if it doesn't, again, this is the most scarce meme. I think there's one more token, maybe more scarce, but this is one of the most scarce meme tokens out there, if you like meme tokens. So just think of all the terrible meme tokens that have pumped 100x, 200x, 1000x in bull runs. We're not even in the bull run yet, and we did a well, let's look what we did. Let's have a look at Pulse. Let's give some Pulse Doge some love here. Look, so we were in the depths of a bear market, and we did we started at $1, right? So let's say you claimed your free claim at $1. You got to run up of 541%. You had a chance to sell off and reaccumulate. If you did an 8x, you had a chance to sell off and reaccumulate. See, it's just bouncing up and down here. So now we're kind of in the depths, and that's really because we're at the bottom here. Because number one, everything else is pumping, right? So we were the kind of golden boy during the bear market.
Here's another thing too. Try and do this really quick. Type in Pulse Doge versus Hex.
Okay.
I know you can do it on nomix.com. I'm pretty sure.
I haven't got that pair here, I'm afraid.
So do this really quick. Go to nomix.com. Because this is like really what it's all about. This is the principles of cryptocurrency. So search Hex PLSD. Okay, so this is not about what's better or blah blah blah. This is about like principles of cryptocurrency. First principles.
I'm not finding this one, dude.
Okay. It should be on there. Type in like PLSD Hex or Hex PLSD. The pair should be on there.
I'm not finding it.
Yeah, it comes up for me.
Right.
I think
Do you want to send me the link in the private chat, and I'll load it up?
Oh yeah, for sure. So the reason why this is important is because what happened was that people who had hex stakes, meaning their hex was locked up, they got distributed the supply of Pulse Dogecoin. So you got distributed, like the way it came out was like people who had stakes in hex were able to free claim Pulse Dogecoin. Some people free claimed like thousands of these tokens because they had a lot of hex staked in multiple different wallets. But what a lot of people did who were like maxis, meaning like, oh, I only care about one token. Oh yeah, also on the bottom right, like on that little pop-up ding thing that comes up, just click on inverse on that.
Whereabouts, dude? The here?
Yeah, it's like that setting thing. Click on inverse.
Invert?
Yeah. So, okay. Oh, maybe we had it right before. Okay. Oh yeah. No. Check this out. Click on percentage. That's what we want.
Down here.
Yeah. I think it's right below the checkmark percent.
Oh, there you are. Yeah. Like that.
Yeah, and then you might have to invert it again for my point to be made. Oh,
like that. Get there eventually.
So long story short, what happened was people said, "I'm a maxi. I only like one token. Like this Pulse Doge is retarded. Whatever." So they got their Pulse Doge on the first day. You can see it on the chart, and then they sold it.
After the free claim, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing: people who didn't like sell it, they just did nothing. They just got a token for free because they're open-minded and like they're just wanting to accumulate crypto as their bottom line. So they're up like a lot, and the people who sold on the first day are down like 85%. Well,
I see what you're saying there, and I think
so what cryptocurrency is about. This is just in summary. Sorry, Fat Sammy, for cutting.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
But what cryptocurrency is about, like bottom line, with DeFi, is like you just want to accumulate more crypto. Like that's the end goal. Like accumulate more crypto, especially when it's a good, solid cryptocurrency with fundamental, value, and then also like in the good technology, and then also with a growing, budding, and thriving community. And that's what Pulse Doge has. Additionally, since it launched, its supply has been cut by over half. It was already a scarce meme token. But that supply was cut in half by burning half of it, which was done in order to seed value into PulseBitcoin and and ASIC token. So now that the supply has been cut in half, and it's gone up exponentially, like as opposed to Hex. Even now, its full value hasn't been realized because there's additional value that's being built on top of Pulse Doge again with the Pulse Doge V2 white paper.
Yeah, exactly. So let's have a quick look at that. We're going to go to a break in a minute, but let's have a quick look at that. So what he's talking about here is, so we've had a bit of an update on the Pulse Doge website. It's under construction currently, which is exciting. So are you paying attention? The maximum circulating supply is just now 2.6 million coins. So originally that was 55% reduction, I believe. They got burnt for the transfer in ASIC, and that's what JB was talking about. If you own this asset and you weren't one of the people that lost 86%, if you hold on to it, and let's say you were a dolphin, I think you were given 900 PLSD. If you transferred that into ASIC, you essentially got the same amount of at the time it was worth about $17,000. Just think about that, $17,000 that you threw in the drain for no reason. So I mean, I was one of those idiots that I sold it and got more Hex. But then I quickly realized the error in my ways, and I bought back my position plus some. Once I heard Hex info on a couple of those streams, he just sounded like such an intelligent guy and bringing the idea of scarcity. And I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, JB's talking about what's going on here. White paper. Look, if you go on white paper.
Well, what crypto is, and this is like the genius behind Pulse Dogecoin, is like it's all narratives, bro. Like everything is a lie. Everything is like a scam sale. Like someone's trying to get you to buy their token. So like at the end of the day, everyone has to do the best thing for themselves. And the only thing that matters in crypto is people buying and holding. That's it. So that's what this white paper even says on it. Like if you weren't retarded and biased, and like if you just, cared about truth and reality, then what you would have done when you were given free tokens is at least read the white paper.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So people don't read white papers, man. They just don't read white papers. I'm not sure if it's an attention span thing these days or what it is, but
dude, here's the thing. Everyone's sick and tired of being like scammed, defrauded, and like basically lied to and like sold a bunch of goods. So the thing is like not everything is crap. Like there's actually good stuff out there.
Yeah.
And it comes down to knowing how to know if a project or product is good.
Yeah. Just flicking through this white paper. And what's really cool is number one, the distribution, number one, the limited supply of tokens. And lastly is look, we got white paper version 2. So what kind of teaser is that? I love that. That's what I love about Hex Info. He's always teasing people, So there's a placeholder here for version 2.
Here's why this white paper version 2 is so amazing. Because the design intention of Pulse Dogecoin worked. What was its design intention? It was to reward Hex stakers with free tokens, and it was created to bring awareness to Pulse Chain. That's literally its design intention. It has done both of those things. And so it has done them so well that the price is up so much compared to Hex, which is even up compared to when Pulse Doge launched, that in addition to all of that, these people who were most invested in Pulse Dogecoin have sold off their position. And now barely anyone, like if you buy enough to become a first 50 or like top 100 holder, there's barely anyone who can dump on your head.
Yeah.
Like it is.
And I tell you what, it's not that everyone's. It's not that everyone also solves their position. Like people like me, I did like 95% of my bag, into ASIC.
And by the way, people are even bearish on Pulse Dogecoin in the Pulse Dogecoin community. Like I think it's so disgustingly and horrifyingly undervalued. And then on top of that, like there's potentially more utility coming. So it's like never buy something like on the expectation that someone else is going to do something for your benefit.
Yeah.
But perhaps like that is coming, and perhaps Pulse Doge will become even more rare.
All right, we're going to take a quick break because I need to run to the toilet quickly.
Okay.
And we'll be back, and we'll quickly cover the charts, shall we? Because obviously we were away last week. We were in Tampa, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's been a couple of weeks since we've gone over the charts, so we'll have a quick run over that, and we'll go over some stats, and then we'll talk some onboarding. So we'll take a quick break, about 3 minutes, and we'll be back. So see you in a minute, guys.
Newest build. $982 watts. Got these custom rigs being built at 240, 232 mega hash.
So 29 and change.
Got a lot more to go.
Yo. We can also
See, as you can see, we're putting more together here. Here I am in 2018 setting up crypto mining facilities. I'm sure our clients make great profit if they held their coins. Fast forward a few years, Bitcoin mining is simply not profitable to continue. Over time, the difficulty increases. It's a huge waste of resources. Energy costs increase. It requires massive overhead with upkeep, and it's harmful to our environment. A much needed innovation has emerged, and it's called PulseBitcoin. It's faster, has a limited supply of 21 million coins, has better price appreciation, and it's DeFi compatible with Etherium. It's proof of stake ASIC token mining that anyone can do from their phone or computer. The user can simply stake their ASIC tokens with just a few clicks of a mouse at pulsebitcoin.app. Stake your ASIC tokens for 30 days to yield Pulse Bitcoin. Unstake to claim your PLSB. You can then restake your ASIC to start another 30-day cycle. You can buy Pulse Bitcoin and ASIC using DeFi at CowSwap or your favorite DEX. Why is Pulse Bitcoin a true DeFi asset? Fair launch. Absolutely no special supply allocation. Supply begins at 0 and only becomes available 30 days after launch, if participants start mining day 1. It's 100% transparent, open source smart contract. It has a code security audit completed by Certic. No unfair distribution. All Pulse Bitcoin must be mined fairly, defined by the smart contract. No sacrifice phase or ICO. No venture capital or special insider funding taken or received. No purchase tax, sell tax, reflection fees, referral program, or hidden penalties. It is not meant to be a financial security in any capacity. You must have no expectations of monetary gain or profit from this crypto project. If you do, it is by your own work and effort. Pulse Bitcoin has the fastest growing community as it leads the industry in adoption and support, teaching new users about security and providing the fundamentals for being a successful investor. Pulse Bitcoin will be the DeFi project of 2023. Follow host Sean on TikTok and Twitter for updates.
Hey guys, we're back. I just want to do a quick shout out and an update about host Sean there. Host Sean is one of our good friends and a keen holder in this ecosystem, and he's the one that did a lot of those cool videos. Basically, every video in this you see on this channel has basically been created by the community. So it's amazing, and we thank you all for donating this kind of your time and effort into doing that. But host Sean's actually he's actually having a baby and he's moving house right now, so he's taking a back seat, but he's still there in the background, and he'll be back, I'm certain, in the future. So he's not disappeared; he's still there. But you know, a lot of the time, life just gets in the way, and this crypto thing, it can eat up a lot of time. So I'm sure we'll have him back in the future, and I look forward to it. I want to do a quick shout out, actually, because I always forget. There's so many things I in these streams, and I always forget, JB. I think, why didn't I mention that? Why didn't I mention this? And it's quite nice having a bit of a slower pace today because there's so much to cover. yeah, so we've got a bit of a giveaway. It's nothing crazy, but I think we've got. Don't hold me on this. I think it's around 200 ASIC at the moment, sitting in my live stream wallet, and we want to give that away to someone. So if you want to participate, all you got to do is you go to our YouTube channel, which you're kind of on now, and then you go to the live click on the live section, and you'll see episode 2 there. And all you want to do is just type in #PulseBitcoin, just get up the engagement. And if you're watching now, please subscribe. It not only pumps your bags, it gets more eyes on the project. We've got shorts there you can look at. So if anyone wants to create any shorts, please send them to me. We'll share those. But yeah, just like, comment, subscribe. It really helps pump the bags, get more awareness, more eyes on. Because what we're really trying to do is, and we'll talk about onboarding later, but we're really trying to get just people that aren't in the Hex ecosphere, people that aren't in the Pulse chain ecosphere, people just to get eyes on this project because we think it's a fantastic opportunity. So yeah, so all you have to do is comment #PulseBitcoin on episode 2 in the comment section. And then what I'll do is I'll try my best to do it. But hopefully I think we're at 475 last time I checked subscribers. So once we get to 500, we'll be giving away, I think it's roughly almost 200 ASIC tokens to one lucky winner. And we'll use a random comment selector. But if you can, please tweet out the YouTube, make a tweet. It's not necessary to win. All you have to do is put that comment in there. If you put it in twice, it won't be counted. So don't try that. But yeah, so it's a small giveaway. And talking about giveaways, Wolverine has still got his current giveaway, or 2 giveaways at the moment. One is to onboard India. So our community is aware that India is I think they're the largest. They have the largest percentage of crypto users per population in the world, right? So they interact with crypto on a monthly basis more than anyone else in the world. I think the second country is Nigeria, I believe. So yeah, so we don't just want, we're looking for mass adoption, right? Mass amount of users for this. We don't just want to attract rich countries. We actually want this to have more users because that's where we see the value. And also we want this to change people's lives. So we've had a great start. This has been a 3-month competition. We're almost drawing to the close of it, and we've got an Indian community now really building up. We've actually just got an Indian Telegram. So if you're an Indian speaker, one of the 18 languages spoken in India or so, well, I know there's more, but one of the top 18, you can jump into the Telegram. Just jump into our main Telegram, and if you want to have a link for it, someone will drop it to you. But yeah, it's really cool. And I just want to share, actually, there's been a meetup over there, and we've got guys like Sonny. There's so many good guys over there they actually beat us to the punch. We had a Tampa meetup, and we thought we were the first ones. And they've already beat, I think they're on their, they're on their 2nd or 3rd meetup already, I think, in India.
Yeah, I might have to get out there too, man. That'd be fun. Yeah,
so I think Wolverine, he's giving a giveaway. So anyone that's creating content in India, especially in Indian languages, even if you're not kind of in India and you have Indian relatives or friends over there, create some content, and yeah, the community will love it. And you can then get a chance to win a load of PLSB. I think it's 10,000 PLSB total, and it's going to be divided up into 3 prizes or so. So definitely get involved in that. So just follow Wolverine on Twitter, or come into the main Telegram group, or comment here, and I'm sure someone will send you a link to something if you're interested in that. Competitions, yeah. There's a final competition going on, and that is a bit mad, but Wolverine is paying 10,000 PulseBitcoin to someone that wants to eat a live tarantula.
Yeah, that one's yucky.
But we've got one of our guys. I think his name is DCA Hex, and he's a great guy. I think he's the one that sits in his car every now and then, does a really cool upload. He talks about how he initially started off and says, I'm putting $15 I'd spend in my Starbucks, and he's putting that into ASIC every day. And he's a really cool guy just to watch. He's a really kind of calm, cool dude who represents so many of us, just trying to get ahead in life by just making that small saving every day, stuff you just waste your money on, and just put decent in that into your future, right? Let me quickly show you the Indian meetup. It's awesome. Where am I going to find it? Here we are. 1 second. Share the screen. So yeah, we're making waves in India. So look at these guys. I love the branding as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. They actually look like they're Google employees or something.
Yeah, they do.
Oh man, this is really cool.
I think that's Sony there. That's Sony.
Dude, this just screams bullish so hard.
I wonder if that's Hindi he's speaking or a different language. I think they're in Hyderabad. Yeah, so big shout out to Sony, man. We love you, Sony. You can follow him here. Oh, let me pause that. You can follow him here at Sony.pls. He's a digital farmer. And they're such great guys, man. 601 followers now. He came out of nowhere, coming strong. So, yeah, big shout out to him. I mean, look at these videos, man. It's awesome. They're really going for it. They've got the drone there. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, man.
Oh, did you not see?
So
Did you not
bullish.
see that? Because I'm not sharing.
Oh, I did see it.
Oh,
I've
my
been
God,
listening to
sorry.
some Indian music in the background
Oh,
too.
I'm so sorry. I wasn't even showing it. I'm so sorry. Big mess up there. But let me.
No, you were.
Oh, okay.
You were
Sorry.
showing it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, I thought I messed up there. What are we going to talk about? Yeah, should we go over the charts quickly?
Yeah, we can.
Actually,
One
no,
thing
before
I wanted to say this just for Pepe because I kind of like in my mind feel like Pepe's like shaking his head. JB on that Pulse Doge again. Like I can hear him doing that. So I want to just like spend some time talking about how Pulse Bitcoin is extremely rare as well. Whenever you want, whenever we have time for it.
Okay, let's quickly do a shout out to everyone in the comments. So who we got in the house? We got Woof. Greetings from Germany. Welcome to you, Woof. Life is good. Here we go. And by the way, it was an honor meeting Life is Good in Tampa. I know you met him as well, JB. He was a legend, wasn't he?
Yes.
Probably the most. I think he has the ticket for the most handsome man in this ecosystem, and one of the most successful as well.
I call
Just
him
an
like
awesome
the
guy.
father. He's like a father of
He's
this
like the
community.
Godfather. He's like one of the Godfathers, right? We've got so
Exactly.
many good. And you know, that's what I love about this community. We've got so many guys who are slightly older, but just so like established and good businessmen, you know. And it's so reassuring. We have Mr. Jigs out there, seasoned, wealthy, intelligent man, very caring, very generous.
He's like
same as
almost
Life is
like
Good.
he carries himself like a regal nature.
Yes. And then we had, I want to shout out to Time Pass. Good to see you again, brother. Pratesh, good to see you, brother. Do your own research. That's a great name. And he has the contemplating man there. So he's a bit of a philosopher, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
So do your own research, Storm. Shout out to Academic. I can't even pronounce that. You have a go at that, JB.
Academicated. Oh, academicated, man.
Academicated. Yeah. That's awesome. Good afternoon to you, man. Peerless Thailand, we all know him. We were laughing the other day when we were chatting to him because he was a massive Pulse Doge fan. He actually transformed everything. And he said to me, oh my God, I just realized I haven't got much Pulse Doge and I've got it in my handle. So he just made a massive purchase the other day. I bought some more yesterday as well.
He's got some great metaphors, like, that guy's falling off his trolley right now.
Yeah, he's proper English, isn't he?
Yeah.
Christian, good to see you, Christian. Christian is one of the guys in our Hex Discord, our Hex token channel Discord that Superman set up. I'm one of the community leaders over there, and he's one of the most active members. He only found Hex recently, and he's got involved in the secret system. So welcome to you, brother. It's really good to see you. And yeah, I think he's referring earlier when we were talking about people trying to earn yield on their Bitcoin when it's not DeFi, you know. So if you are going through a middleman, if you're buying your Bitcoin on an exchange, and JB, that's so surprising, isn't it? Like, I don't know the percentage, but most Bitcoin is held on a decentralized exchange, isn't it? It's crazy.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That feeds into what we were talking about the other day when it comes down to, like, actually, you know, where the elites are steering and, like, how they're trying to, like, move these markets, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm actually not surprised by that. And, like, I believe at a certain point in time, like, a lot of these bigger coins will just be either majority or, like, a very large share of it will be owned by these centralized kind of people or, like, these big financial institutions. So I'm not surprised necessarily.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Right? It's Bitcoin was originally designed to be a hedge against the financial system, and the problem what happened is you know, like any good thing, people become aware of it, and then it almost gets too good, and then it's like your favorite band, right? Your favorite band you love. They got some really cool albums. They do some edgy stuff, and then they get more and more popular. And eventually, they're playing at Wembley. They're playing at all these big kind of venues, and then they start changing their music, right? They start changing. They become more commercial, and they kind of lose what they started on. They get lost by big money, and that's what we've seen with Bitcoin. Is, you know, institutional investors, they couldn't wait to put their money into this thing and expose themselves to it. And now the problem with that is because it's such a large market cap, it takes huge amounts to move the price. Huge amounts. I say we love Hex. I'm in Hex. We're all Hex. I say 95% of us in this ecosystem have Hex. But look, we're not fudding Hex. We love Hex. I'm going to talk about the Hex price. It's been fantastic. So anyone that bought Hex at the bottom, you've done it great recently. So congratulations to you. But again, it takes a lot more money. Hex has already done 10,000X. I hope it does another 1,000X.
The thing about Hex, bottom line, is like if you have liquid Hex, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, Hex should be like a pension plan. You should buy some, create a nice staking ladder for a long period of time, and earn your yield there. And get some exposure to Pulse Chain, but at the same time, have some exposure to other tokens. Maxis get wrecked. Some maxis are lucky, but you should always have a balanced portfolio, and that's what I try and say. So I've got my Hex stakes built out to 15 years, but then I've got some Pulse Bitcoin. I've got some ASIC because ASIC I've got more options with ASIC. I get paid up front. I get paid maximum yield up front. And that gives me a lot more movement and freedom. So for me, Hex is my really long-term thing. ASIC is more of a medium-term investment. And then Pulse Doge is my fun token, right? It's a pump and dump. Well, not pump and dump. I mean, it pumps, then it dumps, it pumps, and it dumps. And it's fun, right? So if you want to have a little bit of fun and you want to...
No, it's called a lottery ticket, bro. It's a lottery ticket.
You can buy all of these things and just hold them. Let's keep going through the comments. The community is amazing. We love you guys. Thanks for turning up. 36 people live here. Crypto Mario, shout out to you, brother. Who else we got in here? Pulse Doctor. Oh, Pulse Doctor is one of the guys that did an amazing video we played a couple of weeks ago. He did the history of Bitcoin and a little intro on Pulse Bitcoin. Thank you for that. Shout out to you, Real Estate Pusher, man. It was amazing meeting you in Tampa. And you know what? Next stream, I'll pull up some of the videos from Tampa. We'll play some of them. So I got so much great footage. So it was so much fun, wasn't it, JB?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and I shared this earlier, but read the white paper. We can't emphasize that enough. Get off your ass, read the white paper. Do you know what I mean? It's not that complex. And the beautiful thing about white papers aren't what they used to be. They're not long, boring walls of text. The Pulse Bitcoin white paper has got infographics. It's very simple to get your head around. And I've got one printed off, and I keep it in my drawer here. Always keep it in my drawer. And it's just something where you can reference it. and pull it out. And it's so simple and easy to understand. Shout out to you, Marcus Waits. What's up? Let's go. Roger Thompson, great to see you. JR, I think he means JB. I always call you JR too. I don't know why. I think because I had an uncle called JR.
Sorry. That's my middle name anyway.
Yeah, so someone asked about the t-shirt. So this one is an awesome t-shirt. This was given to me by Swag. So I had a black cap, which Pepe made with the pulse bit. This is actually, what's that thing? Embroidered. This is embroidered. And it's got the PulseBitcoin.com on the back. Pepe was giving some of these out. I had a black one, and we did a swapperoo. So Swag, one of our admins, gave me this awesome t-shirt. And you can get these off Redbubble. So go on Redbubble and search PulseBitcoin. I think you'll come up with those. And also you can go to one of our admins. Vin Luck has got a store here, so you can check that out at the bottom. PulseBitcoin.store.
By the way, when we're on a thing, while we're on shout outs and stuff like that, there's something really cool from 100% Swag, who I think made those shirts or whatever. But he that's awesome. But he just did something really cool, I thought, which he talked about at the meetup, which is like a potential Pulse Bitcoin, what do you call it? Faucet.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. I can't believe I forgot about that. Can someone DM me in the main chat the Pulse Bitcoin faucet? So you guys might have heard about the faucet for PLS. So Pulse Chain is basically a hard fork of the Ethereum network, but it's going to have a million times more supply, right? So some of the guys over there have made a Pulse Chain faucet. So each day with a fresh Ethereum wallet, you're about to click on that button, you're about to claim one PLS. And the significance and the importance of that is it's going to allow people with smaller bags, from poor countries, to actually then have gas fees, essentially, so have to pay their gas. And Swag, one of our, he's such a young guy, but so intelligent. It was such a pleasure meeting him out there. He's doing great things to this community. So he's actually made a Pulse Bitcoin faucet where you can actually go on there. You have to pay a gas fee and claim one Pulse Bitcoin. So shout out to you, buddy. You're doing great things. I wish I was that smart at that age. I think he's only 20 years old, man, and he's just amazing. So shout out to him. So someone has that link, just drop it in the Twitter for me. I don't want to have to open up Telegram. It will be quite long-winded. Who else we got here? Google G. It's not your own anything and be happy. I think he's making a bit of a Klaus Schwab reference there. You own everything in self-custody and be happy. Well, that's correct, sir. That's correct. Right. That's all the comments done. Let's see. Here we go. So let's go through some of the charts. I think, have we done all the charts yet? No, we haven't done the charts yet, have we? Should we jump to the charts? Give me 1 second. It's share the screen here. And once again, thank you so much, JB, for being here. We had a couple of cancellations today, so I really appreciate you being here today. Right. So we're going to start with the Dow Jones. So Dow Jones, been going on an uptrend, since December 14, right, 2014. We're in this lovely upward channel. We had the COVID dip there. Fake out, you could call it. Panic selling, basically, which we see all the time in crypto, but more extreme. We recovered. It was a fake out. We bounced off previous resistance. We got back into our channel. This was the bull market. And then we have the recent bear market, which has been in this downward channel localized here. Now, we broke above this. We've been covering this a lot every week. Now it seems like we're in this kind of holding pattern. So what's interesting about this? To me, it looks like a bull flag, right? A bull flag. So what do we see with bull flags? Most of the time, statistically, they break out to the upside. So that would make sense, right? If we made a pull to the upside here, we tested the top of this range. So that's really cool. If we do break down, not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. We can kind of break down here and possibly test this area again, I'd say. But either way, even if we test here, it's still bullish, right? Because we're making a higher low. But I personally think without macro events going wrong, we could possibly go and test the top of this region. So I'm happy about that. And JB, if you want to jump at any point, please do. SPX. So the S&P 500. Again, slightly less aggressive punch out than the Dow Jones, but still good nonetheless. We broke out of this range. We've done another bull flag here, so we could realistically look for something like this, and we could go and test this previous all-time high. That'd be cool. We need to break this one first. We're above the 200-day moving average. I like that. Let's see how we do there. Nasdaq. Look again. So bull flag again, right? Classic bull flag here. So we're just consolidating here, going sideways. Same situation as we had before. We're above the 200-day moving average, and that's really cool because look, whenever we come above the 200-day moving average, it's usually a good thing, right? We're usually below it in a bear market. We're below it in a bear market. We're above it in a bull market. So we had a conversation the other day in the Telegram chat, and we did a vote of who thought that we bottomed in the market. I'm one of the bullish guys. Obviously, things can change overnight. It's a crazy world we live in. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Any news can come out, which may change the situation. And this is one, when we move now to the US 10-year government bonds. JB, you asked us to pull this one out. Just before we go on here, we've been in this range here with the US government bonds. I put this here for the COVID dip, just to give you some reference. So, JB, do you want to talk on this for a little bit and the significance of this one?
Yeah, this is the only thing that I care about in traditional markets, because like all of it is actually dependent on this. And the 10-year yield is what's called the risk-free rate. So it's like what every other interest rate is basically priced in. So if you look at credit card rates, auto loans, mortgages or whatever, this is the cost of capital. So this is basically the interest rate that people use as a baseline to judge what the price of money is.
So slow that down, because my monkey brain, slow that down again. Say that again.
Yeah, I was gonna say it with like easier words after.
Yeah.
Which is like the reason why this is important to you, to me, to everyone, is because this, number one, is like how much that you get for lending your money without risk.
How much you get for lending your money without risk?
Yeah. So basically, like, let's say you have a lot of money and you want to get a return on it. So one of the safest things that you can do is buy a treasury bond. And the reason why that is because if you leave your money inside of a bank, then something bad can happen to that bank, and then your money can go to zero. Like, it can just disappear. So what other countries do, like Japan or China or like European countries, blah, 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 is Saudi Arabia, is they buy U.S. treasury bonds instead of holding U.S. dollars. So they do that because they get a return, which is, coming from the government paying that interest to them over a certain period of time. So rather than holding your money inside of a bank, let's say, you hold it in a 10-year treasury, because you know that at the end of the day, the government can't default, especially the U.S.
They have to pay it,
government, right? Yeah, they can just print more money.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like a risk-free rate of return. Mm-hmm. So here's the deal. Everything might have just changed, and like we're basically on a Wile E. Coyote, like meaning we're over the cliff and we don't know it yet. And so you can actually see that on this chart. If you pull out to, like, I think even like the monthly, or if you click like view all.
So this is the weekly. Let's go to the monthly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually I forgot I drew this up. Must have been months ago. Yeah.
Also,
so again, we've broken out there.
Is this log scale?
Everything's log on my chart. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So then what you'll see is like we've been in like a declining interest rate environment, not just over the last 10 years, not just over the last 20, but since like 1980.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. I didn't realize that. So that's June of 1981. Look at that. Wow.
So this has been like the era of cheap, free money, and like actually the growth of derivatives. Honestly, it's like the biggest thing that's happened since then, which allows for the central banks, the governments, the bankers, and like those basically like in control of the system to, long story short, like gain power because they have infinite supply of money. And so what you've seen over the course of the years since 1980 is that basically inflation has been low, and whenever there's a crisis, the central bank jumps to the rescue and they just print more money to bail everyone out. And that's what's been happening.
I'm trying to find
year over year.
2007 here when that crash up. So 2007, 8. This is where we had that financial crash there, right? We saw a big drop. Would that correspond with that? With the 2007 financial crisis there?
So what happens is like investors jump into bonds, like the 10-year bond, which pushes up the price and brings down the interest rate. And I think like a lot of that has to do with because people think that the Federal Reserve is going to buy bonds. So people say like that, bonds are like a risk-off asset. And like I only believe that because the Fed comes to save the day every single time. So people have gotten used to like this Pavlovian dog ringing of a bell whenever there's a financial crisis. The Fed comes to rescue.
So we saw it again there.
We saw that sell-off.
So we saw that sell-off there again with the COVID dip, right?
Yeah.
So is this bullish or is this bearish in simple terms?
So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to lay out is like that this is the bottom line chart. This is like, if this doesn't pan out, then like, we're in serious trouble with everything.
So we want this to go up, essentially, right?
So we want that to go down. And so
here's the
reason why.
So you're saying we want to get rejected here, really? Ideally,
so
right?
Since rates were at 15%, 20% in 1980, and they've come down over those years, like there's been an insurmountable
boom. We had the 1980 boom, right? The 1980 period boom, yeah.
Because rates were coming down, money was cheap.
Right. That makes sense.
There's so much debt now that if interest rates like basically spike uncontrolled as they have been, like since the 2020 bottom, then that means that, long story short, like anyone who's over-leveraged, which is basically everyone, the entire banking system, is going to fail, and there's going to be like a massive, deleveraging, like kind of like what you saw during 1929 and the Great Depression. So where do I want my money during that time? Is I don't want it in the hands of anyone else. That's why I like cryptocurrency. I want to limit my counterparty risk and limit my default risk. And I don't have that in PulseBitcoin.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's why you're on this stream, man. That's why you're on this stream. I've learned something today. I hope everyone else has in the chat.
What this chart shows, though, is like because we've broken out of that down channel.
Right. That's a worrying thing, right?
The worrying thing right now is that we see an uncontrolled spike, an uncontrolled sell-off in treasuries.
So what we'd hope is here, we'd hope we get some rejection, we get some sideways action, and hopefully some downward here. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Hopefully, like the Fed just starts to print money because that's what they've been doing since 1980 to hold down.
Well, let's talk about that briefly. The Fed, right? So we know they've been increasing their interest rates for quite a while now, right? For a year, they're half a percentage point, pretty much every Fed meeting, right? And the last two, I think, they only increased by 0.25%. So that was a kind of pivot. The market liked it when we had another 0.25%. Would you agree with me? And we can hope that we have another few 0.25% increase, and then we eventually see a kind of get into zero. Would you agree with that by summer? That would be great.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like basically, I think like the Fed is lying, like, and the media is lying, because raising interest rates doesn't stop or do anything to inflation whatsoever. So like the entire idea that they're raising rates to halt inflation is just like ignorant. The thing that can stop inflation is if the Fed raises the reserve requirements for banks. That's what would lower the amount of currency supply, and then that would tackle inflation. But right now, banks, they have a legal requirement to hold 0 in reserve, and it's been
I
that way.
I thought that was changed after the 2007 crisis. Didn't they bring in legislation to make banks have to hold more in physical assets, or is that not the case?
What they did was they made it so that you have to separate your legal entities when it comes to securities and like customer capital. So you can't
Gotcha.
commingle funds like that are securities and deposits. That's what they did. But
Gotcha.
right now, since 2020, like since March of 2020, what they did was they lowered reserve requirements. So everyone always talks about like, oh yeah, banks have to keep 10% in reserve. It's called fractional reserve banking.
Right.
So
And Richard Hart actually made a tweet about this the other day, and he just said,
okay.
"Let's be done with fractional reserve banking. It's just a terrible thing."
we are already done with that. That's what people don't realize. Like, we don't have fractional reserve anymore. There is no reserve. So in America, at least, I believe also in the UK, there's no legal requirement for reserves. Like, you can go on the Federal Reserve's website and it says the current reserve ratio requirement is 0%. So we're on something I think that's called I can't remember. It's called like I can't even remember at this point. But it's like something like having to do with, long story short, the Fed printing money and just basically bailing everyone out. That's the end of the day. That's what has to happen. So what I look for.
Say that again, JB. Say that again. What has to happen?
The Fed needs to print more money. Like we live in a system that is dominated by market cycles, which are created by the powers that be manipulating the cost of capital, and that's it. So what that chart is showing is that there is an uncontrolled increase of the cost of capital that, in my opinion, coming from the words of the mouth of the Federal Reserve Bank, is intended to create a recession and to lower, both the demand in the economy and like the amount of money that regular people have to buy stuff. And so they're trying to like pop an asset bubble. They're trying to halt the rate at which credit is being given to small businesses and private people.
Would you say that? Do you think they're trying to get private people to start hodling and saving more? Is that what they're trying to do at the moment?
At the end of the day, they want your average Jack and Jill to like eat through their seed crop and basically have nothing to plant next summer.
Yeah.
And so,
we talk about this. Obviously, we've got a lot of centralized digital currencies being worked on now by a lot of nations. And some people see this as bullish. And I think we had a discussion in the Telegram chat the other day with about 35 people in there. And we had a really, really cool chat. We were talking about centralized digital currencies. And some people are very fearful of that. Some people are more bullish on it. And I think you, JB, you said yourself that I think we agreed, didn't we? We kind of agreed that in the short term, centralized digital currency will be bullish for crypto. But we have to be very aware that it could very quickly turn into a limited hangout, right? The same way we saw fake crypto, we saw real crypto with the original PulseBitcoin, sort of Bitcoin, and that was a way for people to have private exchange, almost kind of a market behind the scenes. And then we saw crypto move into a centralized. Basically, the big money came in and made it more centralized, right? And now we're kind of trying with DeFi, with Hex, with PulseBitcoin, with all these kind of DeFi projects. We're trying to move away from that again, right? Back to what crypto is supposed to be. I think the danger, yes, when you get a lot more users and observation with centralized digital currencies, but the danger is that it draws people into fake crypto, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, like people who are new to something don't know like what makes it good or not. So when they see Tom Brady on TV saying, "Hey, go get full popped by this banker guy," like they're just going to do it because they don't know better. But shame on Tom Brady and shame on like these people who participate in like what I believe is actually an evil system. So long story short, like human freedom is like a trend, and it's trending up and to the right. So I believe like that freedom at the end of the day and liberty will win out over time.
I think the free market will always outpace government, right? And I think we have so many intelligent people constantly developing, and that's what this ecosystem is about: is constantly developing and improving what blockchain is, what cryptocurrency is. And I think what they're doing right now. All the governments around the world, they're hiring people from the crypto space, and they're trying to get them as consultants. We saw JP Morgan create a token, failed miserably. We saw Facebook create a token, failed miserably. People don't.
JP Morgan own MetaMask, bro.
Yeah, that's right. And then we've also got problems with big money coming into USDC, owned by Circle, who are also part of World Economic Forum company, BlackRock. So, yeah, and that's one thing that's good about Pulse Chain. I think the fact that you're not going to be able to put your USDC, well, you can put your USDC in there, but people don't really trust USDC. And I think Liquid Loans coming out with a potential stable coin would be really, really cool. You mentioned something about that before, didn't you? Wouldn't it be cool if we have some sort of Liquid Loans? I think Undubious, actually, wasn't you? Undubious, one of our admins, said in the main chat, he said, I'm never selling my Pulse Bitcoin. I'm looking for a Liquid Loans type of protocol and to borrow against it. So who knows all the stuff that might come out. Yeah. Let's go for the comments.
If there's an ecosystem like to build that on, it's certainly Pulse Bitcoin, this ecosystem, and Pulse Chain.
Yeah.
And I do believe that in the realm of Pulse Chain, Pulse Bitcoin is the core store of value of all the other ERC20s.
So, yeah, ever-increasing inflation. Ever-increasing inflation, correct, with no end in sight. Yeah, it's a big worry. So I think we discussed this before, didn't we? I think it's 15% of the US GDP, right, is just being used to pay off their debts. The interest on their debts, not even their debts. And that is very worrying.
Well, it can go on for a lot longer. And, just look to Japan.
And as long as it's the reserve currency, right? And Japan was experimenting with minus inflation figures, wasn't it?
Like negative interest rates.
Negative interest rates, yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm not sure that's worked out for them. How do you think that's worked out for them?
Well, they're in such a bind because they already have so much debt that they they're kind of like the Litecoin of central banks.
Right.
Like when the central banks want to experiment with something, like they go to a population of completely subservient people who have unwavering an undying loyalty to their government, which is Japan. Yeah. And these are people who basically I'm not casting everyone as that or whatever, but just as a whole, this country is very homogenous and is very trusting in their authorities. And so they kind of test the new kind of improved Bitcoin, BIP, Bitcoin Improvement Protocol for central banks on the Japanese people.
Right, we're going to take a quick break, guys. We're going to be back in a minute and 33.
In a cold bear market, an innovation arises.
For the fighters and the climbers. For those that want and choose to believe. Don't worry about the things you can't control. Focus on the things that you can. Immutable code is all you need.
Pulse Bitcoin. Faster, non-polluting, energy efficient, highly scalable, and DeFi compatible.
Welcome to your destiny, basic miner.
Start your journey to generational wealth. and hold on for the ride. Acquire PLSB and ASIC on CowSwap. Go to usdcplsb.com and usdcasic.com, featuring MEV bot protection, the most flexible way to DEX trade.
I love that little moo at the end. So, Wolverine, one of our whales, he actually made the banner you see at the bottom here. Let me put it up. So if you want to get involved in this, you want to buy some PulseBitcoin, use your USDC, and you go to usdcplsb.com or usdcasic.com. That will basically hyperlink you to CowSwap. We prefer CowSwap because it has MEV bot protection. What does that mean? Well, a lot of the times when you buy stuff on Uniswap, you're getting sandwich attacked. So you're not getting the correct rate because you've got so many kind of shysters out there and scumbags that are trying to, they're basically beating you to the punch and extracting some wealth in your trade. So we do prefer CowSwap from MEV bot protection, but I'll say they're not affiliated with us. But that's at the moment, until things change, we recommend people go there. You can use ETH to purchase these assets, but the liquidity pools are slightly smaller, so you might get more slippage. And obviously, we do recommend if you are making more than a $5,000 buy, sometimes best to split that up into smaller purchases. So maximum $5,000, we'd say, so you don't get the price moving too hard against you. If you want to acquire $50,000 position in this ecosystem, we say break it into $5,000 buys, buy some, wait for the liquidity pools to adjust, buy some again, and just slowly get yourself in there, And right, this is something I almost forgot. I want to bring this up. I want to bring up the charts here. So when I bring up the Pulse Bitcoin chart now, let me see if I can find it. Let's share the screen here. So we had something really bullish and encouraging. So the Pulse Bitcoin chart here, this is really kind of cool. So that's the monthly chart. Let me get to the daily chart. Right, so the daily chart, right? Now, essentially, these are the halving periods. So these are not halving periods. These are the from the first 30-day cycles where people were earning yield, right? If you start mining, so most of the money is coming out on these periods. So what we're seeing is we're in this downward wedge, right? And the halving estimate is coming up pretty soon. So the halving estimate is 17th of the 5th, which basically means if you put your stuff into the mines now, you've only got 2 more months, 2 more 30-day cycles, and you get 7.5%. If you're smart and you took your money out a couple of days ago and put it back into the mine and you're quick, you might actually get 3 months to mine 7.5%. And what's going to happen after that? Well, we're going to see a big supply shock. We're going to see that all these people, basically, this is people using this thing as yield. So they're getting their Pulse Bitcoin. What are they doing? They're selling it to live off. They're selling it. And that's very short-sighted. The smart people are keeping hold of their Pulse Bitcoin. So in anticipation of that halving, which is probably out here, right, over here, market is now starting to cost in the idea that the supply shock that's going to happen with Pulse Bitcoin. So after this, all the dumping you're seeing here, that's going to be halved. There's only going to be half the sell pressure because people are only yielding as much. So what we saw yesterday, we saw a beautiful candle here of 44%, pretty much 45%. And obviously you had some plebs that sold into it and couldn't resist the $1.25 price and sold into it. And congratulations to you guys. You made some good money there. And we actually broke above this downward wedge on the macro. And then, unfortunately, today we had a terrible thing. We had suddenly someone dump 33,000 ASIC. Market dump. You can see it here on the chart. Look at that. Market dump of 33%. 33,000 ASIC. And what we just found out about in the Telegram, unfortunately, one of our sharks was hacked. So he had an unprotected MetaMask. We won't say his name. He had an unprotected MetaMask. And what happened is that he'd obviously downloaded a virus. Someone had got access to his wallet, probably through keystroke. And then they went on there today and they dumped 33,000 ASIC onto the market. They sold all of his Pulse Bitcoin. That's why we saw this dump. And they sold all of his Pulse Doge. That's why we saw this dump. He came on the chat, told everyone about it. So that's not someone in the ecosystem dumping. We know that was from a hacker. We see this every now and then in charts. So, yeah, one thing about the Pulse Bitcoin, with that bearing in mind, look, we still have a good chance. We made a good attempt here. Without that hack, we essentially closed above this. So whether we go sideways from here or we stay above this or we kind of follow it down for a bit and break out, I think the breakout is coming very quickly. That was a massive show of strength. And without that Black Swan event, I think we would be sitting above this now and start working our way up. The measure move is fantastic here. I'm so excited for this. Look at that measure move there. You're kind of talking, you're talking something like this. If we do break out, if I can grab it, you're talking something like that. You know, you're going to start trying to hit these all-time highs before around here. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Pulse Bitcoin, not financial advice, this is just speculation, does start to explore the $2 to $3.15.
Is it appropriate for me to do the whole like dump token pitch or whatever?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So like in this chart, and also like the FUD that even Richard Hart was spreading about Pulse Bitcoin, it's all true. You know, it's being used like a dump token. And by the way, so was Bitcoin when it came out. So just the very fact that it's living up to the same exact like price action psychology, and same exact scenario as when Bitcoin literally first came out before the first halving, is actually super bullish for Pulse Bitcoin. So the narrative like that you can just, you know, buy ASIC and like dump it and like live off the yield, like that's actually super badass, and it's great for ASIC, and it's like definitely a reason to buy ASIC, but it's really short-sighted because ultimately when you sell Pulse Bitcoin for cash, you're going long on the US dollar and you're going short on an extremely scarce asset, which there will only ever be 21 million created.
Yeah, JB, just illustrate what you're talking about. This is the origin. It's called Brave New Coin. This is the chart that shows the Bitcoin chart from the very day one of conception. And what did we see? We saw an 89% drop right from the high, or 85% drop from the launch price. People were dumping it, right? They didn't see the value.
100%. So I mean, you're like, obviously this is expected. So like, no, like, you know, and the reason why it's expected is because we know the tokenomics behind Bitcoin work. We know that the tokenomics behind Bitcoin are actually the most certain tokenomics of any cryptocurrency that's ever come out. And so we can rest assured, I believe, all things being equal, like without like some kind of asteroid attack or like, you know, the potential for, you know, Project Bluebeam and like fake aliens invading and stuff like that, that Pulse Bitcoin is going to live up to what it is, which is it's actually a better Bitcoin.
Amen,
which
brother.
is insane. So what that looks like is a supply shock where like the ecosystem, like everything that touches Pulse Bitcoin, basically begins to suck in matter like a black hole of ROI, yield, and scarcity, where you have, you know, people like even at the exuberance of the top, let's say around like $20 Pulse Bitcoin, you have people market selling their entire stack of ASIC to go all into Pulse Bitcoin. You know, like this extreme exuberance. Like if you were around like in winter of 2017, winter of 2018.
I remember that.
Do you remember that?
I remember. Are you talking about when Bitcoin went to $17,000, right? Are you talking about when Bitcoin went to $17,000?
Yes, exactly. You remember that feeling?
2,500.
That was insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was the start of 2018, and I remember that's when I got into crypto.
Right.
I remember being aware of Bitcoin when it was kind of on its way up to 17,000. And even then, I knew not to buy. I knew not to buy because it was at 14,000. I thought, I'm not going to buy now because it just, everyone and their mother was talking about it. You know, that you had skateboarding channels on YouTube who I used to watch a lot of the times. I was a skateboarder. I remember even skateboarders were talking about buying Bitcoin. And I thought, if it's this popular, it's probably not the best time to buy. So I luckily waited for the dip. I waited for that bear market, and I managed to buy some at 3,000.
But
I
here's
remember
the point.
that road
Here's
took
the
a long
point.
time.
The way people made all that money is they did something before it was obvious. Like, they did something before everyone and their dog knew about it. So here's what I'm saying is, like, there's going to be a point where people are like, buying 1,000 PulseBitcoin for their puppy named Gunther, because they're like, man, my puppy's going to be a millionaire too, like that Netflix show. Okay, so get the PulseBitcoin before people are locking up saying like, hey, I'm putting this through for 4,269 days for my pet squirrel, and I'm locking up 10,000 PulseBitcoin, because that day's coming.
I'm seeing a lot of hexagons. I'm seeing a lot of hexagons in the chat, JB, and I just got to do a massive shout out to them again. Congratulations on your recent pump. You guys have done amazing with the hex price. Let's just show the hex price here. Look at this. Hexes. Let's get on the daily. Look at this. What Hex has done. If I can find it. 1 second, guys. Yeah, look at this. So Hex has been in its downward channel. It's broken up above its downward. It's broken out of its downward channel, right? So we got the idea of testnet V3 coming out, which is super bullish for this whole ecosystem. So we're now moving towards hexagons becoming pulsicons, right? All these amazing products being built on. So when PulseChain goes live, we've got so many products. You need a copy of your eHex, which would be PHEX. We've got a lot of hexagons in the chat. We're celebrating right now because the smart ones that didn't get flooded out, they've actually gone up now. 250% in literally no time at all here since the start of the year. So it's happy days. You're hitting some resistance here. And so many of our whales and our sharks have Hex, right? And so we all benefit from Hex getting back up to all-time highs. And that's just so bullish for the whole ecosystem. So shout out to hexagons in the chat.
I mean, what we might have seen like through this bear market is like something that like ultimately could mean that Hex is like just a godsend of a cryptocurrency, which is that maybe it pumps harder during a bull market, but it also dumps harder during a bear market.
Yeah.
And in some ways, like, you actually want that to happen. Like you want that thing to sell off as hard as possible. So it's been pretty good.
So let's quickly look at so Corky is one of our admins, and he's done an amazing site. He's made another front end for PulseBitcoin. He's made a really cool stat site. So let's go through some of his stats, shall we?
I've donated.
So you can
Everyone
donate.
should like send a little ETH to him, I think. Yeah.
So let's go through. So these are the most important thing, I would say, right? I don't really care about the price chart of PulseBitcoin because we know what's going to happen in the halving. But and it's free money, right? So people are going to dump it. Because only as Baldry says, only 2% of the people in this market are really going to become rich from this. So look at this. This is what we really care about. The wallet addresses going up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
Right? Let's click
Are you trying to show that right now? Or?
Yeah. Oh, can you not see it? Sorry, I keep forgetting to present, guys. I'm so glad you.
It's all good.
Let's get that. Where is it? Here we are. So look at this. So we're just seeing a steady increase in PulseBitcoin wallets, right? And that's what we should care about. Look at all these new wallets. So we're up another 100 from last week. So we're kind of gathering about 100 per week at the moment, new wallets, which is good. And that's just through onboarding, really. I think all the people in Hex are already in it. They know about it. And this is just fresh wallets, people like going out and talking to people in real life. We see it all the time. ASIC wallets are going up. PLSD's had a bit of a pull-off at the moment because of these other projects. I think people in a bear market want yield. That's why probably the yield tokens are doing better. But great opportunity with Pulse Doge, especially with that V2 coming out. And we've got the ASIC token accumulation going up. And this is interesting. So this is those 30-day periods we talked about. So you saw those big sell-offs. Because you had the majority of
that chart is just like screaming bullish in your face. I just posted that in the Telegram the other day.
Yeah, so do you want to talk about that a little bit? You're talking about the ASIC miner starts, yeah?
Well, the two things there is like you just have to look at like these like the initial distribution of any token is hyperinflationary. And so like while the token is hyperinflationary, that's like where you make your money. That's like how Gunther said like 2% of the people like actually make money. Well, those 2% make a lot, especially if they hold, because that's where most of the tokens come out, and that's where you can get your lowest price, like on your average price. So the two things with that specific distribution chart that you're seeing, like just from those like I think 4 months that PulseBitcoin was released, was you're seeing the amount of PulseBitcoin come out of the mines be decreased.
Oh yeah, let me. I think I've got that chart. Let me see if I can find that.
That's it right there.
Here we are. So this is the PulseBitcoin started per day, and this is the PLSB minted by day. So
exactly.
The purple line shows how much. So if you enter a 30-day contract, right, where you're mining 30 days, that's going to show all the people that are going to have that much PLSB in 30 days, right? And this is the amount that's actually minted. So we're seeing a slightly less and less people entering the contract. But what we're seeing them just coming later. So some of those people are, maybe his gas fees are high. I think that's what we've seen now. Gas fees were super high yesterday, so in the last 2 days. So a lot of people weren't putting their stuff straight back into the mine because Ethereum fees were high. So a lot of the smaller holders, they're kind of, maybe they've got 3 different miners going on at the same time. So they're probably holding back and they're saving gas fees. If you are a small holder, and let's say you only have like $200 mining, right? And you're paying $30 for a transaction, it's not beneficial. So you're going to hold and try and consolidate. So I think that's what we're seeing. And that's going to help us in the long run, really, because you don't want these big spikes.
So you're talking about the smoothness of the distribution.
So it's going to smooth out. And eventually, when you get to a point where we're not having
seeing that already. So you're seeing that right now.
Like, let's look at the chart. Let's look at the ASIC chart. Yeah. So again, those lines there we talked about are here. These are the 30-day
So what this
periods.
chart is, bro, here's what this chart is. The ASIC price chart is
Yes,
actually
the price chart.
Bitcoin. It's actually the Bitcoin mining difficulty chart.
Yes.
That's what that is.
So initially, on the first 30 days, when ASIC came out, was here. This is the first time people brought their stuff out of the mines, and we saw a bit of a sell-off for about a week, and then we saw a big accumulation. Then we saw a shorter sell-off, accumulation, and then because then a lot of money transferred out, a lot of people didn't understand the system. We saw a bit of a dump here, and then we kind of hit the bottom here. And what's really nice and bullish is we've hit this bottom once, twice, 3 times, and again, this is a bit of a scam candle because it was a black swan event. It was a hack, but you kind of count that out here. You can draw a trend line realistically like that. So we've been going up nicely, even with the hack, we're still going up nicely. So if you enter the market, if you did your 5-to-1 transfer, you essentially bought a fifth of the price of this. But if you bought in anywhere around these areas, you're still earning 7.5%. At 7.5%, that's 15%. Oh, sorry, 7.5, 15%. You're already up 25%, even if you stabilize in the price of your ASIC. So we're quite happy with this. The halving hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I'm really bullish on this, man. I see ASIC popping off soon, especially with this bullish action on Hex.
So like what that chart is like, it's a price chart for ASIC, yes. But what it actually is it's the mining difficulty level for PulseBitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's like it becomes more difficult to mine PulseBitcoin like as the price chart comes up, because you have to like delay consumption of goods and services in order to buy ASIC and mine PulseBitcoin. So it just makes it more difficult when you need more dollars, per ASIC miner. So that's what that's showing. And the more that the ecosystem grows and the more valuable the PulseBitcoin gets as like a token on a network, which is its community, then the more difficult it's going to be to mine that token, and the higher the price it will go. So at the end of the day, like what needs to happen is just like we just got to tell more people about PulseBitcoin, and that will exponentially grow the value of the network. And we're working on that. Yeah,
so roughly here is where your first halving is going to be. It's 30 days. I might be a couple of days out here, but this is your first halving right here. So at this point here, that's when you're only able to get half the yield.
So the theory is like, because the halving makes Pulse Bitcoin harder to get. Like, I mean, that's, technically increasing the difficulty of being able to mine Pulse Bitcoin. So that should be a positive price event for ASIC token.
100%. Let me quickly see if there's anything else we want to cover. Let's quickly check the comments again. We appreciate everyone being here. It's been a nice pace today having JB on. I know everyone's appreciated you coming on, JB.
Yeah, me too. It's a blessing.
Let's see what it's now saying. It might dump in a bear like everything else, but the airdrops ease the pain. I'm not. Oh, we might be talking about the hex chart here. Yeah. I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah. So I think the hex chart going down, the amount of airdrops we've had has been really bullish. And as I say, I think what we're seeing now is hexagons evolved to pulsicons. And I think obviously there's been a lot of kind of silliness going around. There's a lot of people accuse us Pulse Bitcoiners as being a vampire attack. Something I've heard quite a lot. So a lot of the hexagons that I follow and support, they've kind of been a bit funny with me, saying, "Oh, we're just a vampire attack, so we're taking economic energy away from hex." I disagree personally, because I think you're always going to get people that want to diversify their portfolios. I don't think it's a bad thing having options, because you're still playing in the same pulse chain pool, right? So a lot of hexagons have put their money into the PLSD sacrifice, the PLSX sacrifice, and what's going to make those assets pump? What's going to make PHEX pump? What's going to make PLS pump? What's going to make PulseX pump? Well, economic energy coming over there. All these great projects being built on Pulse Chain is what's going to bring the economic energy over.
Exactly.
We've seen hard forks before. We've seen the proof of work, the ETH Fair. Well, what's happened with those? They're kind of dead networks, because there's no. Fair enough, you're getting a copy of your coins over there, but are people actually
like let us pump your PulseX, bro? Let us pump your pulse bags, bro. Come on.
And this will be all water under the bridge. It really will. And we've got some great hexagons on this stream. And one thing we're really trying to do in Pulse Bitcoin, I think we'll win you guys over eventually, because we really are trying to onboard the world. We're doing our best effort. And I think one thing I would say is that out of all the different Pulse Chain projects, I think that the Pulse Bitcoin community is really trying our hardest to go out there and get, from my experience, no coiners or Bitcoin holders and Ethereum holders. We're really trying to get them. And I tell you one thing, everyone that I've onboarded to buy Pulse Bitcoin, they've bought some hex as well. And they've never been hexes before. I'll tell you that much.
But the thing is like, they're just two totally different, like, purposes. Like, they're just completely different assets. And like, I think that's like, people, like, the reason why people get like tribalistic or whatever is like, because they don't fully appreciate and understand, and they're not like 100% certain in their token. Like, so if you're, let's say, like, if you're 100% certain with hex, like, honestly, I don't see why you have any liquid hex. Like, I just don't understand that. It's not exactly, like, hex is not created for you to hold it liquid. But
well, Brian always says, he's in the comments here, he's one of our community leaders in the hex token Discord, and he always says, if you got liquid hex, you ain't a real hexagon.
Yeah, I know that's the way that I see it too.
It's the same way as an ASIC holder, right? If you're holding ASIC and you're not mining, you're not a real Pulse Bitcoiner. I've got to say, you're not playing the game right. You're not doing what it's designed for. You're just a swing trader. That's what you are.
And that's fine, because like, we need available supply on the market for people to be able to buy it at like fair value. You know what I mean?
I've just pasted the StreamYard link. So Brian, if you do want to jump in, or if anyone else wants to jump in, we'll try and close this up pretty soon. So I don't want to take too much of JB's time. I appreciate you being on here, JB. You might have stuff to do, but if anyone does want to jump in, you've got the link there. You can jump in and say hello, because we want this to be a community live stream. I see Toxic Hedgehog in the chat. Shout out to you. That's a bit of an in joke for anyone that knows about that. That kind of came from one of our friends who does he's did a Friday night kind of hex stream. Good to see you, Crypto Jack. Yeah, PLSB, Diamond Hands. Who else is in the chat? Yeah, okay, so I think Brian's going to jump on, and it'll be really cool to hear from Brian, a really cool, prominent hexagon, and he's he's so generous, man, and he's been onboarding so many people. He's a real inspiration. I think Tintop brought him on. Is there any stuff I want to cover here? Oh yeah, there's some stuff I want to cover. JB, have you got a bit more time, or do you need to jump off? How you doing for time?
I'm good to go. Yeah,
you good to go?
Yeah.
All right. I want to now talk about. What's it called? PulseBitcoin lock. So let me share my screen. Let's get this going. So this is PulseBitcoin lock. Oh, so let me quickly bring in Brian here. Brian, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, man?
How you doing, man?
Doing all right. This is my first time on stream in a long time.
Yeah, so it was Craig's show. What was Craig's show called? I can't remember the name of it. It's escaped my brain.
Gen Hex.
Gen Hex, yeah. So we used to do the Gen Hex stream. That was really kind of cool Friday night show, wasn't it, for the Hexagons?
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah, we used to do that regularly. I think he's going to start that up again soon, right?
Yeah, he's been talking about it, but his job keeps him really busy. His 9 to 5. Yeah. It's not really a 9 to 5. He's a busy guy.
So you must be happy with the Hex pump recently, right?
Oh, did it pump? I don't know. I got him for a long time.
Oh, did it pump? But Brian, you started out in Bitcoin originally, right? And you still love Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, man. I was Bitcoin maxi starting in 2015. And people laughed at me buying them for $380, $400. That's nonsense money. You're wasting your money, Brian. Okay, whatever. But then Tintop and I are best friends, and I was the Bitcoin maxi. He used to look at all the altcoins, and he followed Richard Hart before Hex and tried to get me into it. I wouldn't listen, but I claimed some, and it did pretty good. I didn't even remember I had it till 198 days after my first.
That's what you want. That's what you want. Do you reckon if you did know? Do you reckon you would have sold it on that first retrace?
Me? No, because even when I did end my stake, I was so far up. I went from $17 to $7,500 after paying $10,000 in penalties, and all I did was restake it. So no, I'm very, very happy with Hex. Very blessed to have found it, and got a lot of onboards. Hopefully they'll be happy too, but a lot of them onboarded.
So you've just reminded me, the whole point of this stream, and I brought JB on, was to talk about onboarding. So I've got two great onboarders here.
It's the key.
Brian has been a key inspiration for me for onboarding, and I think that's how me and him first kind of kicked off, was our passion for onboarding and in real life. And JB, you had something you called the snowball effect. Do you want to talk about your kind of, whether it be Hex or or PulseBitcoin or any cryptocurrency you believe in? You had something called the snowball effect. Do you want to talk about that strategy?
Yeah, so it's just like, how do you expand the network? And the idea is like, as a part of you being a part of the network, it should be your goal to also be a conduit to bring other people in. Exactly. So just as much as we talk about how PulseBitcoin is like limited in supply, as much as we talk about how it's like a better method of mining than original Bitcoin and all these things, I think like just as much of a part of the tokenomics and like what makes it up technically, we should also include the idea of onboarding and like using PulseBitcoin as a conduit for onboarding people into crypto and into Pulse Chain. And so I just like always want to bring up and include in the conversation the idea of how easy it is to grow a network. All that you have to do is find 2 or 3 people that want to onboard, and then also share that with 2 or 3 other people. And then basically like overnight, or in a matter of like months and then in years, you have like this massive network that has accumulated so much value that you can't even pump it 10x anymore because it's worth so much. You know what I mean? So I feel like PulseBitcoin is like a really, 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 really good way to introduce people to the idea of Pulse Chain, or even just cryptocurrency as a whole. And so I would like to submit, a website and kind of like this idea to get everyone on the same page of how to onboard, and then, why onboarding is so important to this ecosystem.
I couldn't agree more. Part of my onboarding was no onboard is quick. They all took, many, many hours or days, because I wouldn't feel comfortable onboarding until they fully understood it and were able to onboard their own. And that was with
Yeah,
Hex.
exactly.
Now, PulseBitcoin, it's even more. It's better because you're
Yes.
onboarding them into an ecosystem that gets them everything from mining. I think the mining aspect is huge because people just don't understand that. They didn't understand it with Bitcoin. They just knew it was expensive. Now it's not.
Let me ask you this, because like it sounds like you have a lot of like basically like this holistic understanding behind crypto. And so I think the really interesting part with onboarding into PulseBitcoin, especially like over a long term, like using like PulseBitcoin lock, is like that can seriously, even like with small amounts of money, do some damage at removing supply off of the market for like long periods of time. So just the same way, like where that we know, pumped hex, 10,000x from its bottom. Similarly, like just locking up PulseBitcoin for let's say 1, 2, 3 years could do like a very similar effect with this token as well. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree completely. One of my big things in onboarding is to just have everybody zoom out. When people hear crypto, when you start the onboard process, they think mad quick gains. And is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. So is hitting the Powerball. Uh, Hitting lotto. You zoom out and you see that everything takes time. All the charts, when you zoom out, if you buy something, hold it and lock it for a length of time, you're going to be good. So, that was always part of my onboard process, making sure they understand it, see it. And, like I say, with Pulse Bitcoin, getting them into the mining without having them be techie or, trusting a mining pool or anything like that. I like it.
So you're like a main like hexagon bro and like really believe in it, and me too. And like I know that because I've heard, basically through Fat Sammy, that you've said that if you're not basically staking hex, like you're not a real hexagon, right?
Yeah. You're hoping to trade it for a profit later, and traders get wrecked.
And so we both know that like the point of staking in hex is so that you're either outpacing the rate of inflation or you're keeping up with the inflation rate of the hex supply, right?
Both. And some of the key points of Hex that drew me to Hex was when I finally took a look at it and started looking at it. Obviously, the no admin keys, that was a very rare thing at the time. It's become more popular now, but it was a rare thing at the time. But saving yourself from yourself. A lot of the people that I got into crypto in 2016 and 17, they got wrecked because they were trading. They just didn't get it. All they saw was potential quick money, fly by night schemes. They didn't trust it. They didn't trust in the tech. They didn't trust in the whole idea of crypto. And that's why I say, a lot of times, even today, self-custody is not for everybody unless they're educated. You can't just go onboard somebody and get them a MetaMask and walk away. They're gonna, you might as well consider those coins burned. They're gonna lose it and forget it, and it's just, I don't know. It's not for everybody unless you educate them well.
So like if you stake hex in order to keep up with the rate of inflation, then like the way that I've been thinking about Bitcoin, not PulseBitcoin, but like just the history of Bitcoin, because we have like, over a decade to show for it, which is that, long story short, like the earlier that you buy it, like the larger portion of the network that you. So that is to say, like, let's say, you get like 100 Bitcoin when it first comes out. Like there's going to be more and more Bitcoin that come into supply, but there's even more people who are a part of the network as a percentage of how much Bitcoin exists. So that is to say, like, that the reason why the price of Bitcoin increases is because the relative rate of how many people are a part of that network has outpaced how much inflation there is.
Yeah.
So
I used to tell people
what that does is it pushes up the price, right?
it's the basic law of supply and demand. I mean, I used to tell people in 2015 and 2016, when you go through the explanation and description of Bitcoin being that the total supply will be 21 million or slightly less than 21 million, there's more than that many millionaires in the world. So there's not enough Bitcoin for every millionaire in the world to have one full Bitcoin. So at that point, if you could get 10 or 20 or 30 and just sit on it, wait 10 years, you're golden. And a few people did, and they still are, and they're very, very happy, even now in the bull run, in the bear market, rather. So.
Right, exactly. And so there's no one ever who's followed the best principles of crypto, meaning like your first principles of like buy and hold and don't sell. That's like a long-term investment. Your best principles of like never sell at a loss, because ultimately the price will make a higher high. Your best principles of like don't chase the pump, like buy the dump. You know what I mean? Like there's never been anyone who's ever bought and held Bitcoin that is in a loss since before October of 2020. Like from October of 2020 throughout the entire history of Bitcoin, there's never been anyone in a loss. And that's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
So what would your guys' best advice be to someone, so I've got a few onboards that are aware of PulseBitcoin. They've bought some PulseBitcoin now. They've got some Hex. They're looking to kind of, they're not quite sure of the market cycles. What would your best advice to those guys to be? Like, how should they position themselves? How should they look at this market? There's a lot of uncertainty in the market, right? People are saying, are we entering the bull market? Are we not? What would your best advice be to kind of not...
You know how you make a hose shoot really hard? Like you make a hose that just like pumps that water through it. It's by like making that hole at the end of the hose smaller and smaller and smaller, right? You tighten that hole up. You have like, it's harder for the water to go through. So the price pumps harder and harder and harder. That's what Bitcoin does. So get in while the hole's really big, while there's people dumping the supply of their Pulse Bitcoin get in then, before the hole gets tighter and tighter and the price starts to shoot up faster and faster.
Well, definitely the smarter people will do that, buy the bear market. But unfortunately, humans are the way humans are, and FOMO is a thing. And every time you have a bull market, people FOMO in, and they regret it 2 years later. I think the key is make sure they understand this is a minimum 5-year thing. Minimum.
Yeah.
And longer than that, the better. If you can make it a 10-year thing, you're not going to really care. Like when I first came on, you asked me if I like the pump of Hex. What do I care? I don't care. It means absolutely nothing to me today.
Yeah, you're like some of our Pulse Bitcoiners. They're like, I don't care about the price. Like, they're not caring about the price. I'll worry about that in a few years when I'm looking to extract some value from it.
It means absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm glad for some people that it gives them a little bit of relief, thinking that they didn't make a mistake. But on the other hand, people that were trying to get in under a nickel,
I mean, what matters is the amount of users, right? And I think that's why shout out to Superman and Hex Token channel. The reason I love that guy is because he would go on every day, show all the stats and show all the new holders going up.
Yep.
And that's what we do with this chart here with I showed earlier with the PulseBitcoin wallets. That's what really matters. Is this ecosystem sticky? Are we providing a service which people can't find?
Well, that's why I think the education of your onboards is so important with a community like this that's being so shadow banned and gate kept from the masses. It's really up to us, the people that onboard. You have to make your onboards able to onboard someone else convincingly, truthfully, convincingly. It's the only way. It's the only way.
Yeah, 100%. We're just reaching the 2-hour mark.
But honestly, it's not like within Pulse Bitcoin or even like Hex, it's not like we're, really like thirsty for people to know and everything. like because these products are so certain. Like I'm not concerned necessarily about how fast the community grows even, and it's just because like we know what the code will do. Like
Right.
we know what Pulse Chain will do. Like there's so much going for us. And then the other part of it too is like it's just the nature of crypto. Like what were stocks invented for? What's the purpose of stocks? The purpose of stocks is to fund a company. Like a stock is like, you want to talk about what a dump token is? A stock is a dump token for a company to dump on the public so that they can create revenue, like increases for
Yeah.
themselves. And that's the other problem with the stock market is like a stock like Apple or Amazon or even like a new company, like let's say like a Tesla that pumps so much. What holds the stock down is like they actually have to produce revenue. They actually have to like grow a company, and that's extremely hard to do. And it also like limits the amount of growth that a stock can have. So cryptocurrencies as a whole are just better than stocks and better than like basically any other asset because it is just a fantasy made up token and it is just a game that we're all playing that's designed to increase in price. It's a asset that's designed
It's
to
a
go
race
up
car.
in
It's a race
value.
car, and it's not paying. It's not paying bills. It's not. It's
Exactly.
not paying employees. It
Well,
hasn't got all the negative externalities, right? It's all you're doing is you're looking to your left and right. What you're really doing, essentially, is you're investing in some great math, and then you're investing in people, community. So you're looking at the math. Does the math check out? Is there a scam going on? No, there's no scam. Okay, immutable code. Okay, it's a safe investment. No one's going to rug pull me by changing anything once I'm invested.
correct.
Are there any negative externalities? Do we have to worry about the increase of, if we have a restaurant, do we have to worry about the increase in electricity? Do we have to worry about the increase in food costs? Do we have to worry about the council coming and shutting us down? No. The only thing we have to worry about is, are we onboarding good people who understand that they're trying to make wealth for their family? And if you look to your left and right, and one thing I find in the Hex community and I find in this community is we're surrounded by intelligent people that are willing to hold. And when this next bull market comes, there's no wrong thing with extracting wealth. But I mean, I think if you're smart, like Brian that bought Bitcoin early on, yes, he sold some. He sells some at the top of the market. The same way you DCA in, you DCA out.
Nobody ever went broke making profits.
Yeah. And let's say you sell half of your position in Hex, and then no point trying to time the top, because a lot of us got wrecked doing that. No point trying to time the bottom. So the people that DCA'd into Hex from 10 cents down to 1 cent 50, now they reap the rewards because they DCA'd in. They lowered their average cost of getting in. Same way you can with PulseBitcoin. So you DCA your way in, and then when the markets, I think we'll have a sideways year now, which a sideways year for good products with limited supply will be very bullish. So you might start getting some really nice price appreciation if you DCA it in, and wait some time. Wait till you hear people down the pub or people in the coffee shop talking about cryptocurrency. When you see it everywhere, you start to think, maybe I'll extract some value now. So maybe you'll have some stakes ending, or you'll have some of your liquid. You'll start just selling 10%, 10%, 10%. But then I would recommend you always keep a good 50% of your bag in cryptocurrency. That's your long bag. You just don't touch, and you keep that for the second cycle, the third cycle coming. But you can still extract value, and I think that's the key thing. Don't be emotional with your trading. Hold on to good assets because they're good assets, and this is the best way you can escape all the FUD, all the horrible things going on in the wider part of the world with anything.
Exactly.
Agreed. I just want to be clear, like when I onboard people, I don't onboard them to pump my bags. I onboard them to pump their bags. I'm not worried about, the systems that I'm in growing. Like you said, there's intelligent people in the system. That will take care of itself. It will grow, period.
Yeah, exactly.
I onboard people for them. I look at people that didn't listen to me in 2015 and 16 with Bitcoin. This is your second chance. Get in now.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And this is why. You get in now with a little bit of money and you wait 10 years, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of money. Like this is not like a throw it all in overnight. Like this
Right.
is, but the reason why is because it's real.
Right.
Like, because this project, this token is real. Like, that's why you don't have to throw your whole, like, house money into the top of Hex. Like, you're not doing it.
No,
Right.
by the way, we do no one do that. No one. We are against FOMO.
Yeah.
The worst thing in the world is FOMO, right?
I accept that it's a thing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like literally these are like fake. These are fake,
like
out of thin air tokens
you're gonna
with
get wrecked.
internet people. Yeah, you're like, don't listen to internet people like with fake out of thin air tokens and throw your life savings into it. That's not the right way to do crypto.
Yeah, don't throw your life savings into any of the products that we recommend either.
What's your what question do you guys hate the most from no coiners that you try to onboard?
That's a good one.
What if the internet goes away?
No, I don't even hear that. I just hear that.
Yeah,
do you know the worst thing is? I said this before, right? I was in Tampa last week, right, and it was a really cool experience. We were on our last day, me and my girlfriend. We were sitting in this diner, enjoying our proper American food. Like I had some French toast with the eggs and the Canadian maple bacon and all that sort of stuff. And we're sitting there, and one thing I love about America is the hospitality of the people over there. They're so generous and welcoming. And we're sitting there, and there's these couple of guys older guys wearing these fluorescent kind of jumpers, and they went, "Fuck it, I'm buying everyone in this place their breakfast." And funny enough, it was only their table and our table sitting there. So I was like, "Oh, thank you, buddy," and they bought our breakfast. It was lovely gesture. And we went over and chatted to them, and they gave us. They were kind of local celebrities, and they were artists, and they had written these books. And they said, "So what are you here for?" We said, "Oh, we're here for a crypto meetup." And their faces just went. And I think that for me, without any words, is when I say I'm in crypto, people's face, they kind of go. It's almost like, I think, because everyone has someone they know.
I got that this week.
In crypto, they know, and it's not even real crypto. They'll hear about crypto.
Lost money or what?
There'll be some investment guy who goes, "Well, I'll double your money. I'll triple your money." And I even met someone I know in real life, a friend of a friend, and she said, "Oh, can you talk to me? My sister's giving some money to this dude, and he's tripled her money in a month, and now she can't control the money." And I say, it sounds like a scam. It sounds like a scam. And the problem is,
I've never seen that before, but I hear about it.
Oh, it happens all the time, dude. The problem is, unfortunately, crypto is the best way you can escape wealth, but it has the hardest kind of entry to barrier because you have to protect yourself. There's so many charlatans. It's an unregulated business, which is great, but there's so many scumbags out there ready to take your money and steal it from you. So education is so important. And what Brian talks about, don't onboard anyone until they fully understand. I mean, the worst thing an onboard says to me is, "Can I give you $5,000 and you invest it for me?" And I go, "No. That is totally against."
You really want to teach them? Say, "Sure." Take it and say, "Oh, I lost it." That's how they'll learn.
It's like that South Park. You see that South Park episode where they go to the bank and they're like, $10,000 deposit and it's gone.
Yeah, everybody pays their crypto university tuition. Everybody.
Yeah.
You just try to minimize that with your onboards. I've paid it. I'm sure both of you guys have paid it also.
I lost a lot of money when I first got into crypto because I was not doing real crypto. I was following charlatans. I was trying to get rich quick. And if anyone wants to learn more, you've got to jump in the Discord. You can jump in the Hex token Discord. You can jump in the
put a comment in. I don't have a wrench.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll give you a wrench. We'll give you a wrench, Brian. 100%. But yeah, just jump in. Just jump in the Telegram. It's in the link description. You can talk to real people. As I say, something I want to mention again. That market dump we had today with 33,000 ASIC being dumped today. Load of PulseBitcoin as well. One of our members. He had.
Yeah, you were mentioning that right when I jumped in. What happened?
Probably about $60,000 worth of Pulse Doge, PulseBitcoin, and ASIC. And unfortunately, he got hacked. And the market dump. Sorry?
Was he on a cell phone?
No. So this is something that Brian and I always try and talk about. We try and educate people on security, and it's so fucking important, right? If you've got more than $1,000 invested in crypto, what good is it if it can be stolen like that? And it can be stolen so easily. Never put your money on a phone. Never do your crypto on a phone, because what does your phone do? It's constantly, as you move around, it's constantly interacting with Wi-Fi networks, with Everyone is constantly going out there saying, connect with me, connect with me.
Plus,
So
you have no admin rights to your phone.
yes.
That's your big, huge, gigantic red flag right there.
Secondly, if you've got more than $1,000 and you've got a MetaMask, then you need to have a Trezor or a Ledger, a hardware wallet. I prefer Ledger. Brian prefers Trezor. It doesn't matter. And what essentially you're doing there, so you have your MetaMask wallet. You're going to go in there, and you're going to set up you'll buy a piece of hardware, right? It's something that's off the internet. You'll get your seed words. You set up your Trezor. It's really easy. Or you set up your hardware wallet, and then what you do is you create a new MetaMask, and you set up your ledger inside your MetaMask. So then, let's say something like that poor guy that happened to today, right? Let's say someone did hack into your computer, right? Which is very easy. If he went into your MetaMask and then tried to steal your money, he's going to hit a brick wall, because someone has to plug in that ledger or that Trezor through USB, is to enter your PIN number to approve that transaction. So that's the best barrier of protection you can have. So if anyone has any questions about that, you can get in contact with me, Brian, anyone. That's the way you secure yourself. That is the best, because what the thieves do when they rob a house on the street, they go to the house with no alarm. They go to a house with no locks. They go to a house with no guns. They go for the easiest access. They're not trying to rob people that are making it difficult. So please, guys, because I tell you what, it's not only damaging you, it damages us, because it's damaged our chart today. Some scumbags come, someone works really hard to get up all that ASIC, and now they've been robbed, and it's hurt all of us. So I can't stress that enough. Yes, jump in the Pulse Bitcoin Discord. We've actually pinned Papa Bona. He's got some great. He's a great hexagon. He's got some great security stuff you can do. Some other pointers would be, so number one, Brian said, don't use a phone. Another one is don't try it if you can. If you've got any significant amount of money, you can buy a cheap laptop for a couple of $100. Just use that for your crypto. Don't browse the internet. You know, I know sometimes we like to download movies, go to these dodgy sites. Why do that on your crypto laptop? You know, don't download things.
At the very least, have your daily driver account on your computer, being a Windows computer, not be an administrator, and use a separate account for your crypto, separate login, and neither account should be an administrator.
Yeah, 100%. Just before we end, I quickly wanted to cover Pulse Bitcoin Lock. I appreciate you guys coming in there, and it's been a bit of a long stream, but I've just enjoyed myself so much today, and I appreciate you guys coming on. I just want to show Pulse Bitcoin Lock. So Pulse Bitcoin Lock is something which, like Brian said earlier, protect yourself and yourself. So there is no yield on Pulse Bitcoin, right? It's kind of a finished product. But what you can do is you go to PulseBitcoinLock.app, and you're essentially creating an NFT, right? So you can put in the number of tokens you want to lock. So let's say I want to lock up 100 Pulse Bitcoin. And I can lock it up for, it's either 555. That's the amount of days you want to lock it up for. Let's say I want to lock up for 555. I want to lock up for 15 years, right? Or let's say I want to lock it up for, let's say I think the next bull run will be at its peak in 2 years. So let's say, I don't know, let's say 700 days or whatever it might be. You might want to do another one for 100 Pulse Bitcoin in a year's time, 350 days, whatever it might be. And what you're doing is you can select non-transferable, transferable. So transferable means you can send that to someone else. So transferable would be like if you want to send your wife a gift or your friend a gift. So I've done this thing where I'm in business with a friend of mine, and every time I owe him money or every time we go out for dinner, right, he's got no exposure to Pulse Bitcoin. So every time we go and have $100 dinner and I owe him some dollars, I send it to him on a transferable NFT. And I give it to him. I lock it up for 100 days, and I give him 100 Pulse Bitcoin. And because I know that he'll benefit from that, and I'm essentially sending him more than $100, right? And then you can put a really cool picture there. It's just a fun way you can upload an image there. And if we go to the NFT gallery, you see people that have already done it. But it's just a really fun way to kind of protect yourself and yourself. You don't have to do it with all your stuff. Just do it with a little bit. It's not loading right. There we go. So you can go to the amount here, so you can kind of see people that really put a lot in. How do we do this? So there you go. So we got there's a Wolverine. He locked up 180,000 PLSB. for 1,000 days. So he's already on 959 days. Another one here, 50,000 PLSB. And the cool thing about this is, even though it's at the moment, there's no benefit from doing it apart from protecting yourself from yourself. Look at that, 8.45% of all of the Pulse Bitcoin that's been yielded currently has been locked up, and that's awesome. That is so awesome. And these people are doing it for no reason. There's no reason. They're not getting anything from this apart from saving themselves and themselves. They're either gifting it to their kids, the same way as Brian gives some hex stakes to people's grandchildren and their kids. You're locking stuff up for future value. And what's really cool is Pulse Bitcoin Lock on Twitter. He's announced that there will be a really exciting development going on. So you may also start to get some airdrop perhaps, or some other token, which you'll be able to gain from participating in this. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, I've noticed that a lot of the new shiny objects that came out that had nothing future planned developed quickly with future plans. So people that dumped them, they missed out on all those future developments.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not sure under JB, he probably had to go. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much for coming on, Brian, man. It's so cool to have you on here, man. We've been friends a long time, and it's really cool you came over.
It's a good time.
So, is there anything else before we end the show, Brian?
I don't think so. Did I hear you mention you have a Pulse Bitcoin Discord?
Oh, he's back. Yeah, we do. We do have a Pulse Bitcoin Discord. Swag set it up. I'll try and get some info on that next time.
Yeah, send me an invite to it.
Yeah, I will do. So it's a bit inactive at the moment. But yeah, we've also got a Pulse. We've got a Telegram for Pulse Bitcoin India. We've got 56 members in there now. So I think it's really cool that we're onboarding India. I think that's one of the best things about this community. And I think we're going to go for Nigeria next. We're going to go for those out of the way places, you know.
I don't do
JB. We've just thinking about ending the show. Is there anything you want to mention before we end this show? It's been a great stream.
I just wanted to mention that. Like, really, the two things that it comes down to, like, and this is for every single person that's interested in Pulse Bitcoin, is number one, it's about onboarding. It's about, like, I guess number one, it's about being certain. So be certain about Pulse Bitcoin, and to do that, understand the history of what Bitcoin is and what made that the most successful cryptocurrency in history. Then number two, apply that to Pulse Bitcoin and understand that it's just a better version of Bitcoin that you can be 100% certain in. And then number three, understand that this is a tremendous blessing that you have knowing about Pulse Bitcoin at this point in time, and that you can also share that blessing with other people. So if you're unconvinced about telling other people about Pulse Bitcoin, then I suggest that you're not certain enough about it. So increase your certainty first before you tell other people about it, so that when you show them this opportunity, you truly understand it, and they can truly understand what they're learning about.
You had a great example, didn't you, before on your Twitter space? You were mentioning something about, you made it real, talking about what do you want. Let's say you want a new computer or a new car or a new house. Can you go into that a bit? That was really cool.
Yeah, like I think everyone is motivated for a different reason. So what I'm hoping to publish online is just like a really simple pitch, like that kind of like gives an outline about what Pulse Bitcoin is, and like it allows for people in this community to be able to present it to someone else. You can easily do that with the PulseBitcoin.com site. It's really, really good. But what I wanted to do was just create like a very storybook kind of flow through, understanding sort of like a brief overview A to Z behind the value proposition of Pulse Bitcoin. So I'll be probably like releasing that for our next Twitter space on Wednesday. So that's going to be, I think, the 22nd of February at 7:30 Eastern time. But just to answer the question about, what is the reason why someone would get into Pulse Bitcoin? I think generally speaking, for Pulse Bitcoin itself, just a market buy, put $100 into Pulse Bitcoin. The idea with why you'd want to hold Pulse Bitcoin is because obviously like the price can go up, But I think that it's just because the tokenomics behind Bitcoin are so certain and what they do to drive the value higher that you have to kind of reverse engineer where you see yourself going. So for an example, let's say like you're 19 years old. The only way that you could see yourself getting a red Corvette, maybe let's say like in 2 to 3 years, because that thing's worth like $80,000 and you're in college. The only way that you could, potentially get that, something like that you really, really want, is by achieving 1,000x. And the only way that you can really get 1,000x on your money is by getting a new cryptocurrency that has a very limited supply and good tokenomics behind it, but also is likely going to grow and expand its network. And that's where we are right now with PulseBitcoin. So you take, let's say, $80 and you lock that up in PulseBitcoin for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And then you make a PulseBitcoinLock.com NFT and you put the picture on that NFT as your red Corvette. And you say, I'm going to lock this up over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years and come back to it. And my dream is, or my goal and my vision is that this would become that red Corvette. As a part of that mission, as a part of that goal, as a part of that vision, it's important to know that you'll only be able to reach that goal if, as a part of your locking up this PulseBitcoin NFT, that you'll bring 2 or 3 other people in to PulseBitcoin as a part of your goal, vision, and dream. So you want to help other people lock up their PulseBitcoin too. And then further than that, you want those 2 or 3 other people to also find 2 or 3 other people with a goal, a vision, or dream that can only be achieved through cryptocurrency to help them do that as well. So this is how we goose the network. This is like how we are all crowdfunding each other's success. And it's not having to do with trading or buying or selling. It's having to do with the first principles of cryptocurrency, which is find a good cryptocurrency, lock it up over the long term, and then show that opportunity to other people too. And I think that it's a very low dollar amount investment. So if you lose it, and let's say everything fails and goes to zero, it's not going to break your back. But ultimately, not only could you help yourself get something that you couldn't achieve otherwise, but you could help other people that you love achieve their dreams as well.
JB, I got to tell you, I'm not big on NFTs, but what you just said was the absolute best case for an NFT I've ever heard. That was awesome, man.
Yeah. And on that note, guys, I want to thank everyone for turning up today. Exciting times ahead. Hex is pumping. PulseBitcoin will soon be pumping as we approach that halving. Grab some ASIC. Start mining. Take advantage of that halving zero. Pulse chain soon. 2 more weeks. You get a hard copy of all your tokens. Let's go into this this year and the next year with optimism, onboarding, welcoming, open arms, no more hatred. Let's go into this, make money, make friends, and let's change our lives.
Thank you, Fat Sammy. You're an amazing host. Thank you so much for inviting me. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it,
man. Great to meet you, bro.
All right, let's go.
Less money at their disposal. The latest on inflation's up.
Life is hard, with rising inflation and a soaring cost of living. Bitcoin was a way to escape this, but now Bitcoin is dying. When Bitcoin started, you could use a laptop to mine it with just a few clicks. Now, Bitcoin has been hijacked by big money, making it impossible for the average user to make life-changing wealth. It's slow, it's outdated, and expensive. The world needs a better Bitcoin. The future is here, and the future is PulseBitcoin. Faster, more secure, non-polluting, and DeFi compatible. Old Bitcoin mining requires expensive mining rigs and costly energy bills, making it almost pointless. With PulseBitcoin, you can software mine by staking your ASIC tokens, utilizing proof-of-stake technology on the Ethereum network. It's so easy to participate. Simply buy the ASIC token on Uniswap, then go to pulsebitcoin.app and set them to mine for 30 days. You'll earn 7.5% of the token amount in PulseBitcoin every 30 days. Don't want to mine? Easy. Simply buy PulseBitcoin on the open market and hold it as a powerful store of value. You are so early. This ecosystem is packed with tokenomics designed to drive the price up. Pay your future self by participating in the most aggressive, price-appreciating ecosystem in existence. A decentralized, peer-to-peer Bitcoin, the way crypto was always meant to be. Go to pulsebitcoin.com. It's time for a better Bitcoin. It's time to make life-changing wealth.